Hello, my name is Kyle Pounds, and this video is what I think about alien contactee George Costanza. You know, that fat, bald guy who speaks like he's from Australia. Thank you for, I don't know who did it, but somebody wrote a thingy on my page and says, do a thingy on George Costanza. So I YouTube him, and this dude, I have seen him before, but it was like a year ago, and I didn't have the time to watch all of them. And the video I make on this video is he has The Great Deception, part 1, 2, and 3, and I only listened to part 2 and 3, and then he has like a 12-part series called like the Galactic Federation mission statement or something like that, which I didn't watch, so I'm gonna have to go back into town and watch part 1 of The Great Deception, and then his 12-part series on the Galactic Federation mission statement or whatever. So, thank you for telling me about this, and making me feel like somebody I guess you want me to hear what I say, so I guess you have respect for what I have to think, and thank you. I mean, being that I'm the greatest spiritual teacher who ever lived, the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, right? No, I'm kidding. So anyways, that was kind of a long introduction. Yeah, so he's an alien abductee. He got abducted by good aliens, his soul family. I guess he's a clairvoyant. He can go into his mind. Well, I guess maybe that's after he got abducted. They taught him how to do that because they had abducted him once, and they took him way up out of his body into their spaceship or something, and then even though maybe he was in another dimension, he was completely with it mentally. He was completely there. He was awake and everything. And then they took him up, I guess, from the 4th dimension up to the 5th and the 6th and the 7th, and I guess all the way up to all the dimensions, and he just saw everything. And then after that, I guess he had the ability to clairvoyantly look into the future, see all of his past lives. Now, I do believe him. There is integrity and heart and goodness in his voice, so I believe the guy. So I guess after he got abducted by those aliens, his friendly aliens, it brought attention to all the evil aliens, and so they started abducting him too. I guess that's what sometimes happens with people who get abducted. Anna Hayes was talking about that. She got abducted by her soul family, and then after that, these evil gray aliens tried to start abducting her and tried to actually kill her, and they try to take your body from you and then like have an evil soul like walk into your body and stuff, and they're generally not very successful doing that. They're called walk-ins, but usually walk-ins are good. And completely voluntarily, like, Abraham Lincoln was a walk-in, according to Ra. So, yeah, he had all sorts of interesting stuff. I mean, his main message basically is that, I guess, well, kind of the same thing as like what everybody says is that, there's definitely evil aliens out there who like to twist and turn, religious teachings into their own agenda, I think it's becoming pretty clear what that is. It's like basically not letting you be, not valuing you, teaching what you are, teaching what you believe, following your own heart, and then that's being good enough. And as long as you follow your own heart and express yourself by following your heart, which is connected directly to your God, that that everything's going to be fine, everything's going to work out. But as soon as you like start to hand over your power over to some higher authority and do what they tell you to do and believe what they tell you to do, or else, then something's wrong. So he said, as far as the past, he had some cool, interesting stories. He said he was one of the guys who made the pyramids in Egypt, and the way that they do it is and it's actually the same thing that Ross says, you empathize with the rock, like rock's alive. Everything in the universe is alive, so you just empathize with the part of the rock that is God, the alive. Then you go, hey, do you want to be part of this cool project? And the rock's like, yeah. And then you go, okay, so you have it cut itself, and you have it let it levitate itself by just pushing it, and it just levitates. And I can see that in my head. I can picture rocks just floating. You just push it, it floats, place it right in place. And then he said, like, Jesus, was a very important spiritual teacher, but he has said the same thing about Jesus that Seth said, that Bashar said, that Anna Hayes said, that Jesus was actually not just one Jesus. It was lots of Jesuses back there who were saying the same thing, and they just attributed it to one, because what happened is, back 2,000 years ago was a really important time in humanity, with a lot of, like, spiritual energy here, and, like, old souls coming here, because it was just people were, I guess, susceptible to learning new lessons and stuff, and so they all teach. That's how ages of transformation happen. It's different teachers coming and teaching their own ways and teaching, and it's not one savior teacher. That's the grand deception. That's how the evil forces get in control. Is they tell you that it's just one guy and you have to give your allegiance on over to him. That's, our world has been steeped in evil for a long time, and that's how we, that's why we always had the king who we had to follow this, and sure, there's another, I guess, purpose to having a oligarchy, and it's that there's decisiveness and you don't have, like, infighting and stuff, or when there's this secretive society, but I mean a combative kind of society mentality, but it's just the general mentality of having one guy who you follow no matter what is just an evil energy which was brought here. So anyways, so that's what they turned it into. But, like, back then, he said Mary Magdalene was Jesus. There was Jesus the male, and there's Jesus the female, and Mary Magdalene was Jesus the female, and they went and they taught together. And well, that's what Bashar says, that they taught together. So, and then, of course, they didn't want to let a woman be seen of being any kind of a teacher, so they just said she was a prostitute that he saved. He said that the moon, said the same thing about the moon that Alex Collier did, that the moon is actually a spaceship, and it was brought here from, I think Alex Collier said Lyra, but I think this guy, George Costanza, said Pleiades, and the goddess of Greece and of lore, Diana, the goddess Diana, the goddess of the moon, was the one who brought it here, the moon here, and the moon was brought here to be a companion to the earth, because there was lots of evil energy here, and the earth was, like, really depressed, and so they brought the moon here to help balance out the energies with the earth. But then after that, the evil aliens came and they set up bases, and they covered the moon with silicone dust and hollowed it out and made it their base, and that this guy George was abducted by these 2-foot tall aliens that have eyes just like us, but they have 14 teeth when they smile. Like the Cheshire Cat or something like that. So that's kind of freaky. And that they, like, strapped him up to a table and they sucked his kundalini energy out of him with machines, and it was excruciatingly painful. So maybe these little minion guys are a kind of gray who work for the Orion aliens. He said that he was describing heaven. He said in heaven there's no light. But it's physical, just like us. When you're living in heaven, it's physical. And so basically, the earth is going to turn into heaven. The whole Christian idea of the second coming and ascension and everything, where we all, is kind of accurate as far as the earth, not everybody going up to another place, but the earth itself actually turning into heaven. And so we're at a different density, going to go into the 4th density. And then after, like, a few thousand years, it'll go into the 5th, which is actually officially heaven. 4th is basically like us, but we can see into our past lives and telepathically communicate and live longer and all this stuff, but we still need, like, contraptions and stuff. But in the 5th dimension, you don't need light. everything's auto-illuminated. So there's no darkness. Like how they describe the spaceships. You go on the spaceship and you don't see where the light comes from, but everything's just illuminated. That's because that's just the properties of the fifth dimension. And of course, time doesn't exist. And then the respect that time doesn't exist, the way that it manifests itself on this world is by synchronicity. Everything just happening, you're not stressing out over your life, just being happy where you are. And, whenever you're ready for the next stage of your life or something to happen, it'll just be there magically, and it's becoming like that more and more. And I know it's becoming like that more and more with myself. And you can make it like that by just being happy with where you're at and realizing that you are the experience that you're having is the experience that your oversoul visioned to have. And so everything's going perfectly, and just don't get caught up in somebody else's vision of how you're supposed to be and then try to do that. And then that'll like disjoint you, and that'll screw up the whole synchronicity mechanism. So like synchronicity, basically, as far as time not existing and everything manifesting itself instantaneously, your visions and dreams and everything, it's basically the same thing as synchronicity just happening perfectly. Like he gave an example, like if you're cutting, and then you need another kind of knife, and you turn around and your like partner's right there already with the knife holding it to you, because they were just like, oh look, he needs the knife, I'm going to give it to him. Oh boom, there you are, And I think helping ourselves manifest synchronicity here on this world is a good way to do it, is by sharing synchronicity stories. And I should upload a video about that, because I have had just amazing synchronicity. Like when I was bike touring through Europe, my bike snapped, the frame cracked, right next to a auto mechanic, And that's happened a bunch of times. My bike snapping happened in Mexico, right next to a slaughterer. Asking somebody on the street for directions, and it happens to be somebody who wants to let you stay at their house, This kind of stuff. I should just make that another video, because I could go on forever about that. But I think that's basically what the fifth dimension is about, time not existing. And is to an extent. Because I guess if you add that with teleportation, then that's basically time really doesn't exist, instant manifestation. But he's talking about that official heaven really starts at like fifth dimension, and I think he went up all the way up. There's the 12 dimensions, kind of like what Anne Hay says, I should do what I think about George Costanza Part 2 after I watch Part 1 of the Great Deception and the Galactic Federation mission statement video. But he was really, the Great Deception. He was talking about the evil forces and how they take over, and so they kind of confuse you, like they'll like as far as the Anunnaki. The original Anunnaki were actually good aliens, but now they have a reputation of being bad aliens, because then the bad aliens come in here and say that they kind of adopt the name of the Anunnaki who originally came here. Like, obviously the Anunnaki, if the Anunnaki were the ones who created human beings 250,000 years ago, then they're good. If they created us, then they're good. But then these other aliens come and they go, yeah, we're the Anunnaki, the ones who created human in our image. And so since we created you, you better do what we say, because we know it's best for you, because we're your parents and stuff. And so that's basically all I remember right now about George Costanza. But it was definitely interesting to hear him talk about just like how evil forces come in and usurp traditions that good forces get rolling. But that's a whole nother video, man. So anyways, check him out. He's good. I like him. I'll do another part video after I watch the other parts of the videos that he does. Okay.